What's up, John?
Joe, what's going on?
What's up, baby? Welcome to episode 6 of the Golf Jitsu podcast. I'm Joe Fazio, and my co-host is John Del Bruges.
How's it going, everybody?
How was your week, dude?
Week has been good so far. Weekend was great. Saw the Masters, saw kind of like an awesome epic finish with Rory, I'd say, and
Oh, yeah.
Bryson coming down to not Bryson, Justin Rose coming down to the wire. Jeez, but Bryson did dominate kind of the airwaves and like the narrative, not the airwaves, but like kind of the narrative of some of like the golf news throughout the weekend. But I was with some friends in Deep Creek, like in a mountain place, a mountain town in Maryland, playing some golf. Played 2 days of golf, and like we did like a kind of like a bro trip weekend, celebrating one of our friends' birthdays. But we had like a little trophy, and I ended up dominating all of my friends. And
Yeah, boy.
I must say the field was extremely competitive. Okay. Um, but no, it was most of the guys there loved golf, but they were probably like 20 to high 30 handicaps legitimately. They're the guys that are like, I count everything, and they do. So there's some high scores there, and we applied our handicaps, everything, but everybody played to their handicap basically. So I was the eventual winner after two hard-fought days, but it was awesome. The first day, we got there. It was crazy weather. It was ice cold. It was snowing in the morning. It was like freezing temperatures. But like all the guys there, gung-ho about golf. We're going to golf no matter what. So we got up. We drove there after pooling. Basically, was an all-nighter when we got there on Friday. Rolled right into Saturday morning. Got up in the ice age and just drove to this golf course that was, I mean, it looked like, I felt like the fairways were like a soccer field almost. Like I was like at a state park playing on crabgrass. And but they were very generous. They let us play. There was absolutely nobody on the course, so it was cool. I don't remember the name, and it was still a good course. I mean, it wasn't good, but it was fun. Nobody was there. The experience that matters, right? Next day, Thousand Acres, Thousand Oaks, one of the two. Okay,
You
look
like me
look
remembering
that up.
names of places.
Okay, yes, all right, Joe. We talked about this earlier today. I used to get hit in the head for a living. Okay, so
Yeah, I've been choked so many
it's
times.
Thousand Oaks or Thousand Acres in Deep Creek, Maryland, or it's the golf course next to Deep Creek, Maryland, and it was absolutely beautiful. They just upgraded from 9 holes to 18 holes. If you guys go on my Instagram, you can see like they
Goat
had a little
necklace.
dog there. Yeah, the club pro had his dog there. He was hanging out. He loved the course so much, and he was telling me it's lush, it's pure. And we had a large group. He goes, "Don't even think about it, boys. I can see everything y'all are doing out here." He had like a little, the radar of all the carts. So he made sure we were staying far apart. Again, the only people on the course, absolutely nobody else. But
Windy and cold.
great condition. It was windy, cold, a little bit better that day, and it was just a good time. It's kind of like it's like my second like bro trip, maybe my third like bro trip, where we just played golf and hung out with the guys. But this was like my first one where I'm kind of like decent at golf, so like I just felt good. Like,
Nice.
you ever heard that like old Mo Norman quote where he's like, you can wake up and like it's like when you know how to hit the ball, you can wake up and feel good every day or something like that. Like I kind of felt that. It was just like I was like I know I'm at least gonna be able to play I'm just like kind of not content, but I'm okay with like where I'm at, and it's just like I know where I'm at, so I'm like it feels good, just
Yeah.
like this comfortability of kind of ownership that I'm coming into at this stage of my golf journey, I'd say.
That's good.
So
Well,
it was a
speaking of
cool weekend.
Maryland,
Yeah.
I was
And you were
down
there
your
in my
part.
neck of the woods, and you
Yes, I
were ducking
was.
me the whole week.
I was.
Sheesh.
I
Go ahead,
was.
tell
I
me
was.
all about it. This guy, so Joe, you played at a course like I grew up It like right next to my high school. I played here a million times. It's like 35 minutes away from my house. Go on.
So yeah,
Explain.
I played Waverly Woods on Wednesday morning, and it was, I told you I was playing there, and you said it was a decent course, pretty tight. There was, there was some sketchy holes, to say the least, but overall, I thought it was a beautiful layout. The only problem that the greens were just punched. So there was sand, like nothing. Like I couldn't hold a green to save my life because it would just hit the green. It was like hitting
Roll
marble,
off.
and it would just roll. So you had to play shots. You had to play shots that, like, if the pin was 150 yards, play your 140 shot and let it roll out, to 150. So a funny thing happened. They switched. So we started on the back nine. We went through, and then once you come to the front nine, there's a whole bunch of condos on the right hand side. So it was on a par five, hole number 2. Hit a nice drive, 262 to the fairway. Really, really nice drive, and we basically, like, I'm right off the right in the first cut. So I've got another 240 to the green, right? So I'm gonna make it in 2. I take my backswing, and as I'm swinging down, air horn. Some douchebag from the apartment complex or whatever decides to hit an air horn. And basically screwed up the entire shot. The good news is I actually made decent contact with the ball, and I landed like 10 yards short of the green. So I was on in 3. I ended up 2 putting for par. So
What
that was
this a prank that the guy was doing?
Oh yeah, no, I was basically, taking my practice swings,
Yeah.
no problem. I addressed the ball, ready to take the shot. As soon as my downswing was coming down, and freaking screwed me up a little bit because it jumped. Because I don't scare, like I'm not like a jumpy guy. Like you could scare me and I'll just turn around. But me and my cart mate, like, just like kind of looked back because we're like, what the hell was that? And you can't, there's 100 apartments there,
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah,
You
no,
didn't
it
see
was
the culprit.
no, couldn't find
The
him.
culprit. Okay.
Couldn't find him. Hey, I want to introduce our guest. We have a very special guest joining us, my friend Craig Tucker, who's the president and CEO of Contrast Apparel, of which I'm wearing the hat, as you can see right here. And if you're listening, I'm wearing a gray Contrast Apparel hat. Let's bring him to the stage. Craig, welcome to the Golf Jitsu podcast.
Sorry about the technical difficulties there.
Don't worry. I've got to
worries.
actually figure this. This is not the first time it happened, because I did the same thing that you did on one of the first podcasts, where John and our guests were sitting there waiting for us. And then I was in another room or whatever. So I got to figure out this whole layout. And, but yeah, it gets a little wonky. And you probably went to the Google Meet, right? Is that where you went?
I did. Yeah. That's my bad. I should have read the actual instructions. The things that I tell all my people to do, I didn't do. So.
You got to see. You got a more high level view right now. You trust your guys to be reading the details, to relay it to you. You're looking at like detailed bullet points. What I need an executive overview of what's going on. Google Meet, cool. I know exactly how to do that. I was like, I knew it. He clicked on the Google Meet instead of looking in the body of the. Nobody looks in the body of the meeting. It's like when you got like a Google Calendar and it's full of meetings all day. You're just clicking into the meetings. You're clicking into it and be like, tell me what this is about. You're like, well, did you read it? It's like, no, just give me and it's like, so
I'm like, he forgot about me. He's out golfing and he's running late. That's what it is.
Are you kidding me? We were just talking, so we were just talking about this past week. So I golfed yesterday down by John, because John lives in Maryland, and he was kind of attacking me a little bit, saying that I was like, I was skating him, that I didn't want to play him in golf. I didn't want to roll with him in jiu-jitsu, because John actually is like, what are you, a second or third degree black belt? I'm a purple.
I think I'm like second, third, maybe.
So
one of the two. I got promoted to black belt in 2019.
So him rolling with me is like me rolling with an infant or a 12-year-old, basically what it is. And he said I was skating him, even though I was with customers, right? So we played.
But
we
I
played
look
this
like
course.
the 12-year-old between us.
but yeah, we were just talking about like our past week, kind of starting the podcast. We're really new at doing this whole podcast thing, so we're trying to figure out the cadence where we would have guests on, or we've had guests on and we jumped right in with them. And when I listened back, I was just like, there's no kind of flow where you're like just hearing me and John, shoot the crap a little bit, and for kind of, I guess, our listeners to listen to, to get to know us first, and then kind of feel out our styles. So it kind of worked out because I said, you know what, we've probably got about 5 minutes. Let's just let's jump on. Let's start the recording, and then when Craig jumps on, as soon as I see him, I'll bring him in and we'll start the interview process. But Craig, how are you?
Yeah, I'm awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm new at this stuff too, so I tend to stay on the other side of the camera. Unless I have a couple beers, then it's pretty easy for me to get in front of a camera. But
so, did you have a couple?
No. I actually, it's funny. I got off the golf course at like 3:35, and I was flying home to get here on time. So
the life of a CEO.
Yeah, fun little match today with a couple of the kids that we through the First Tee organization that we kind of got some clubs for them and did some cool things for the kiddos, and then we got a chance to play with the director and then two of the boys, and so we just had a round, and we had a blast. We were having such a good time. So
Craig,
what were the age groups? Sorry,
no worries.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Joe. I was just wondering what are the age groups of those that group of kids you were helping out with today?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you guys have it out there, but do you guys have the First Tee organization?
I can't recall at the top of my head. I'm not super involved in the golf community. Joe, do you know?
Okay.
That's a great question. I don't know, but I'm gonna have to find out. Let's see.
Yeah. So it's called the First Tee organization. They are essentially what they do is they teach life skills through the game of golf. So a lot of times they work in kind of lower income areas where maybe kids wouldn't really have a chance to get on a golf course. And so their ages range from like 4 years old to there's high school kids, and then they go into college, and then they'll come back and maybe help teach and things like that. But the cool thing is they're getting kids, that are maybe wouldn't normally, and I say normally, quote unquote, but like be exposed to golf, right? And so they're getting them out there, but they're also kind of teaching them, working with them on some values and respect, and teaching them a lot of different things that, not all of them get exposed to in their home life. So we just love kind of being a part of that, and we kind of naturally progressed to helping those types of folks, exposing them, getting them into golf, taking them to a country club for the first time. These boys have never been to a country club. And so we got them there, and we walk them around, take them to the pro shop, buy them a couple cool things, and then, take them out, play a round of golf, have lunch afterwards, and just letting them know, like, hey, this is possible. You just got to work hard, and you got to put your mind to it, and you can be here too. So we just want to kind of expose them into that environment.
Yeah. So we have a Jersey Shore chapter. So yeah, I'm sure you have one in the Mid-Atlantic. Yeah, there is one. Yeah. And I do remember seeing some like ads like, hey, donate your old clubs to, the First Tee Foundation and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not, like John said, I'm not really actively involved in that stuff, because if I added another hobby or another thing to my schedule, I think my wife will divorce me.
Yes.
But no, that's awesome. One of the things that I always wanted to ask you was how did you get involved with like Contrast Apparel, or what made you want to get into like this segment of the golf industry that is so competitive? right? Because when you look at, like, I mean, if you just filter through Instagram and look at one apparel company, you're going to get ads for 6 million brand new golf apparel companies, until you're blue in the face. Like, what made you get started? What made you get started in the apparel? What drove you to get started?
Yeah. It's kind of funny. Have you ever seen the Kevin Kisner interview where they're like, why do you come out here if you know you're not going to win? He's like, well, they pay a lot of money for 20th place,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are a lot of companies, and you're right. They pop up every day. It's really easy to heat press a shirt or do something with a shirt, put it on the internet, and all of a sudden you have a company. But we kind of had a funny start. I do a charity golf tournament for my company. My main business is where I actually get a paycheck right now. And so we had partnered with like Travis Matthew for a few years, and they're great. But you pay them to come and outfit all your golfers, cost you 10 grand to get polos and hats for all your people. And we were like, oh, that's a lot of money that's going away from the charity to give these guys these shirts. And so we tried to find another partner, and we found one, and they ended up, and I won't mention their name, but they ended up kind of burning us last minute and saying, oh, the things that we promised you, we can't really do. And so I told my partner, I was like, look, I've been in sourcing. I work in factories all over the world. I said, how hard is it to come up with a golf polo? I mean, it's a shirt, right? And so that night I got on the internet. I started reaching out to factories, and everybody's like, yeah, right. We don't touch your stuff unless it's 300 or 600 pieces per color, per style. And so I ended up finding a factory, begged them a little bit, and they said, all right, we'll do a run for you. So we did a run for our golf tournament. And, it's funny because everyone got it, and they're like, oh, I love the material. Where do I get this? How do I buy it? And we're like, well, it's not a company. We just did them for the tournament. And then it just kind of came like after a few months, people kept asking. And so I told my partner, like, you want to take a run at this thing? And then same thing, what you said, everyone's like, oh, it's too saturated. There's too much competition. And I said, well, that is true, but I'm the CEO of a company in the printing industry, right? And there's a print shop, there's a display shop on every corner. And we've managed to build a very successful, fairly large company. And so for me, it was like, if we apply the same principles that we did with this company, which is customer service, number one, and then quality product, great price, and we deliver on our commitments, just the simple fundamentals of business. And so we're like, yeah, let's do it. And so fast forward, we're a year in next month, and, we've got 70 golf tournaments booked this year. We built a full experiential trailer that we go out to these events, and we're doing more in revenue than I did with my company when the 2 years into it. And so,
wow.
So I'm like, yeah, it is saturated. You're right. There's so much competition, but if you do things a little bit different, not only are we doing our apparel selling direct to consumer, but we're doing custom apparel for other companies. So we're doing corporate apparel, and then we're also doing arrival gift boxes for tournaments. We're doing corporate gift boxes. We're doing the charity side where we're, getting involved with these charitable companies, and we're making custom polos for them for their events, and then they're using them to sell and raise money to their donors. So there's a lot of avenues that we're exploring that aren't just, your quote unquote direct to consumer online, because that can get you broke really quick when your customer acquisition cost is $40-$50 a customer when you're doing a bunch of Google ads and Instagram and Facebook ads, right? You got to dump a ton of money into it, and you just hope that it converts. But for us, we're kind of going grassroots. We're building relationships. We're getting in with like big companies and corporations, and it's been great. We're loving what we're doing. We're growing at the right pace, and it's been fun.
The key word that you just said was relationships. Building through relationships. Why? Because people buy from people. And
yes,
it's that simple. that a lot of these major corporations, they forget, you know what I mean? They forget that people buy from people. So it doesn't matter where you're priced for the most part, as long as you're kind of, you know, in that bracket. And I know your price points, you're not $120 a polo.
Nope.
You know,
we're almost half, right? Or about half of that.
Yeah.
And and it's a lot of it's the same product. I know, you know, without disclosing who I manufactured with, it's the same factories that some of the big guys are manufacturing. It's coming out in a lot less boxes than they are, you know? And so the other kind of cool niche that we have is quick manufacturing. So we're 30 days production, 35 days in my facility. And so everybody else is 90 days, 120 days, 600 per SKU. I'm 50 piece minimum per SKU. So it allows me to be more flexible, allows me to kind of get in with the people that maybe a Travis Matthew or some of these other companies wouldn't even entertain because it's only 120 polos. But for me, that's a $6,000 or $7,000 order, and that's great, you know. And so we just keep stacking those ones, and all of a sudden, at the end of the month, they add up to be a pretty substantial amount of money. And the margin in apparel can be really good if you do it right. If you keep lean and your overhead low, and you don't spend a ton of money on stupid things, and you can make really good money in that business. So we're making a run at it, and you know, kind of partnering up with guys like you and guys that are just fanatics about golf and love the sport, and you know, and just really, you know, we don't have these high dollar designers. We don't have all of this stuff that a lot of the other brands, you know, it's just us. We're just doing it, and we're doing things that we like, and we're just hoping that it resonates with people, and we're really doing it to give back to, you know, our motto is be different. So we're doing it to really give back get this next generation of golfers on the golf course and do some really good things in the community. And we feel really good about it. So we're going to keep this thing going as long as it's fun. When it stops being fun, then we won't do it anymore.
Pack it up,
Craig,
then. Yeah.
You have a true traditional entrepreneurial mindset where you like created and I'm going to tell a lot of my guys who kind of like coach and mentor and advise to tune into this podcast to listen to your story and all the things you're doing, because you yourself are a mentor and a coach to these kids that you're working with through your other organizations, but like through your mentality first and foremost of like, hey, somebody's got to be a Vimeo, right? Like not everybody could be YouTube. Like there's got to be other things that exist. To never be discouraged because like, oh, there's already a Nike. Why would I want to make another shoe? You know, it's just like there's a million other shoes, you know, and then like you went a step further than that, and we're like, okay, well then I'll just make my own company to facilitate my already company, you know, and it's like. And you're really attacking it like an entrepreneur. You're really thinking like abstract, you know, and this is why kind of CEOs are more like artist types than they are like engineer types, you know, is because you really have to see the big picture when you're looking at like from the top down organization, and you really have to see how you can delegate responsibilities through a lot of different people. You can't really kind of zone in on the details, but you got to know that the details exist, and you can totally understand that they're extremely complex, more complex than you would ever know. You like get that, right? And that's why you're able to, you manage those people's in there. But like, it's really interesting to see what you're doing with it, and like how you're not really relying on one thing, and it's like extremely versatile, you know. That's awesome, and I can totally understand why you don't want to disclose your factory or its location. I was just wondering, wow, once you find one, it's like you got to keep it a secret, right?
Yeah, no, and it's those are some great points, and yeah, my analogy is I like that Kisner thing really stuck out to me when I heard it, because it's like, yeah, the chance of me becoming a next Travis Matthew or a next Callaway, probably zero chance for me, because. Well, I wouldn't say zero. There's never a 0% chance. But one is I don't have the desire to do that at this stage in my life. Now, I do have a son that's in business school. that's in his second year, and maybe he'll want to do that and take the reins and go. But there's a lot of $1 million, $2 million, $5 million clothing companies that do very well and position themselves in the market, and you don't even know about them because they fly under the radar. And what happens is they just kind of pick off clients smaller in small batches from these big companies because they connect with them more, and you have that passion, and you're able to, like, I go out and shake hands of all these people, these golf tournaments, and we form a relationship, and we text each other, and we go golf together. And now they're not only a friend, but they're a customer, and they love our stuff. And, so I mean, when you're on a golf course, your mood is just, for the most part, unless you're having a really shitty round, you just have a good mood. You're having fun. You're meeting guys like you guys, your jiu-jitsu background and golf and the whole circle. We'd go out on the golf course, and you would share all the things that you do on that side, and I would share the business things, and it's just so much fun. And I absolutely love the connection. And so for me, being in the golf business, it gets me on the golf course more, gets me around other golfers. And as you know, these guys that are doing these tournaments, they're CEOs, they're smarter guys than I am. And for me, it's like, surround yourself with those guys and good things will happen to you,
Oh yeah, it's the same mentality that we have. You want to get better, roll with a higher rank, or you want to be a better golfer, play with single digit handicappers all the time, and watch your handicap drop. It's the same exact mentality. But one of the things that I wanted to bring up was what drew me to contrast was the classic designs, right? There's so many out there right now, and I don't want to name names, right? But it's, some of the designs are terrible. I mean,
stop doing them. They're not cool. They were like quirky and fun 10 years ago. They're not anymore. Stop
it's like
doing them.
It's like the way I dress for work, and it's funny because I had a meeting with another fellow golf head earlier this week, and we just looked at each other, and it's just like, my sticks are in the car, your sticks are in the car, we're dressed for golf, let's go golfing, and that's the way that I look at, like, my style is, it might be more preppy, might be a little bit older or whatever, but I the way I dress for work is the way I dress on the golf course. The only difference is my golf shoes, and I put on a hat, right? Yep. That's the only difference. And that's what drew me was the design. So who comes up with all the designs or the picking of the styles and shirts and colors and textures and whatnot?
Yeah. So that's our head of creative, which is me. And the shipping department and the tailoring and
mean. Yep.
Yeah. So I came up with all the original designs, at least all of we call them like inspiration boards, and then I have a couple of a designer in Costa Rica. She's great. And then I do probably 80% of the designs myself, and then I have some other outside folks that I'll send some ideas or a little like sketch board, and I'll say, hey, can you throw something together for me? These are the colors that I'm looking at, and then they'll put them together. But yeah, I mean, there's some stuff out there that I see people wear, and I'm like, how do you, like, it's so bad. But
you don't have mirrors in your house, do you?
Dude, it goes back to, there's an ass for every seat, right? And so you could literally paint, you could put piles of poop on a shirt, print them, and people will buy it. And so
sure.
You just gotta, you
would do well in San Francisco.
The funny thing is like the ones that I think are just gonna crush it, they go to their shit. And then the ones that I think, it's just okay, they're a hit. So you just never know.
Well,
but you know what? It's like I don't mean to cut anybody off, but like, Greg, it's just, I just want to keep on honing back into your mindset and your entrepreneurial spirit, because it's like, who's your lead designer? Who's your fashion architect? It's like, what, me? It's like, there's so many, I don't want to diminish any of these titles or anything, like designers or, graphic designers or anything, but like, if you put a mirror next to your face and there's steam coming off of it, you could probably teach yourself how to do it, because you've got your own style, and it's like you can just kind of go from there, right? And it's like you don't really you're not really trying to do anything that you're not trying to do, so it's like you're just all you got to do is design. You're staying classic, you're staying true. And for all the young guys out there, because this group, I'm representing the young guns out there, JK guys. But listen, you don't want to always try to be like the coolest thing on GQ. Go for a more like timeless classic look, so when you look back at your pictures in 5 or 6 years, you're not like cringing.
Yeah.
It just you just go with something a little bit more subtle always. If you just err on the side of like traditional and classic as far as like style and apparel goes, it's just much easier to like look back on, with fonder memories. And you're not like, I've got like white tuxedos from prom that with like Jordans on. And
exactly.
I can't look at them. They don't exist anymore because I've gotten rid of all those pictures. But it's just
Yeah. And to kind of piggyback on that, if we're talking to like, if there's anybody listening that, I want to start a business, or I've always wanted to do this, but I've got to have like all these things in place, or I got to have this money. I need a financial backer. Like we started this business with no money, with literally zero money. And we started with like 2 designs. And even though we had money, my partner and I, we both have a very successful business and we have access to capital. We said, look, let's do it. Let's make a run at this thing. We started with basically no money at all. Just start putting things out there. See if you have something. And if things don't catch on, don't get frustrated, because you're kind of your circle that you're playing in, or your sandbox, is really small at first. And ours is tiny. Our sandbox is probably, 10,000 people total in our area. Right. And so just because you don't think that design is popular with that group, as soon as you start to get your product out to other organizations and out to other cities and states, people start to resonate with the brand. So just, stay lean is my main thing. Don't get a bunch of overhead. Don't get a building. Don't hire a bunch of people. Be careful who you go into business with. Make sure you're okay with getting married to them, because it is a marriage. And just start small, but do it. You got to do it. If you're like, once you get the kind of the ether of being an entrepreneur and starting your own business and having the capabilities of whatever you put in, you get out, there's nothing better. I tell people now, if I had to go get a job, if my business has failed and I had to go get a job, I am 100% unemployable. I could never work for somebody. I'd get fired in the first day.
That sounds. I am employed, and I feel like I'm going to get fired every day. So
yeah, we had that talk too.
I have the CEO mindset, but I just haven't. I haven't gotten over that hump yet.
I'm like climbing the ladder right now in the corporate world, trying to get into that like C-suite executive thing. But I do come from like small business, weird, unique business background, but do own current small businesses. But I do also want a taste of the executive, corporate business life too. So I am climbing the ladder, but I am versatile, and luckily my upbringing has beaten that into me through fighting and stuff. And this is what I tell my guys about, to bring it, not to completely derail us, Joe. I know you're going to give me a Jonathan moment, but you were saying like, there's businesses that you never heard of that are doing, 7 figures a year just fine. I tell my fighters that, I train and manage that, like, there's guys that are in the UFC and they're not UFC champions and they're not household names, but they have been in the UFC for 20 fights. And they make 6 figures a year fighting UFC fights. They win 2, they lose 2, they win 1, they lose 2, they win 3, they lose, and it's like they can't really get there. But like, it's almost like to even be that level, you have to have, I want to be a champion's mentality, but we have to kind of start nurturing the idea that like, man, you have to be like, you got to look at it more of like, hey, this is my career, and I've just got to be more concerned with durability over the long term than I can be like, I want to rise to the top and be like a shooting star and shine extremely bright. We can all see these guys, especially in fighting, because it just takes so much soul energy and so much stuff. And when you're knocking guys out and getting millions from it, it'll ruin you when it's all gone. It's not like winning golf tournaments, because you can play golf till the day you die. You can't go out there.
But it's like
Go
saying
ahead.
not everybody's going to be John Jones. Not everybody's going to be Tiger Woods. Not everybody is going to be Nike or Adidas or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Kiz, Kiz is that middle of the line golfer that still makes.
And he's demonized for saying something like that. It's just not the American way to be okay with that. And I try to tell my guys, you got to be okay with that. Like none of you are going to be like, you would already have known if you were going to be John Jones like that. You know that everybody knows this. I mean, your life is different. Your trajectory is different. You're going to be a guy who's like a stand-up comedian. There, if you go on Netflix, there's going to be 20 Netflix specials of stand-up comedians that you have never heard of. All those guys make 6 figures a year touring the United States, and they work their freaking asses off. And you don't know who they are, but they spent 17 years bombing as a no-name comedian, and now they're just big enough to headline and get a Netflix special. It's like, that is what you, as an artist, that's making it, making it to the UFC. I try to tell my guys, it's like, just like a golfer, if you just get a tour card for 1 year, 1 season, and you made it, that you already enter such a small percentage of the world's population to have ever existed. I say the same thing to the guys. You make it to the UFC, it's like, nobody will ever take that from you. Like, your name is etched in history. Whether everybody will pay homage to it, or it doesn't matter. But it's just like, Mark Zuckerberg himself can't pay for a legitimate name on that UFC roster. Elon Musk, nobody can. It's only legit if it's legit. It's a legacy. So, and money can't put any price on that. But you just have to have that mentality to just get into it. And it's like an entrepreneurial, like artist type of mentality, where you just kind of got to go and be as creative as possible. And that goes with being lean as possible, right, Greg? Like, to just figure out how to make it work. It's just like, you just got to be creative and just see all the avenues and angles.
Well, speaking of the creative aspect, Craig, I'm sorry to cut you off. I wanted to ask you, like, hey, what on the contrast side, what are some of the new designs and styles, and what are we going to see in the future for contrast?
Yeah. I think for us, as we evolve as a company and as we kind of get more experience, and there's so much to learn in this business. That's part of the reason why I really enjoy it, is because it's such a hard and challenging business, and finding the right fabrics and things like that. So my goal is to, quite honestly, is to get into some really cool technical fabrics, kind of like, the Viore style fabrics, having some things that are like kind of tame and plain, but also having some stuff with a little bit of style to it. I don't have any desire to be super bright and obnoxious. I try to kind of keep it mellow. I do some floral stuff. I kind of mix it up. And so I would say, for us, really good cuts, really good materials, and just stuff, like you said, you could wear to the gym. I mean, not to the gym, but like to work, and then wear that same thing over and play around a golf, and then roll that right into dinner with your wife, and you're rolling the same outfit all day. So that's
true, kind of lifestyle wear. True lifestyle wear.
Yeah. Kind of transitional, that transition to where it's like not just golf,
gentleman's transitional wear. Yeah.
Yep. And again, it's really stuff that I enjoy and I like wearing, and I'm just hoping that it resonates with other people. And time will tell as we do it, but I think I have a really good feel for what fabrics perform well and what they do. And I have a lot of people around me that play golf, and so we wear it and they're like, yeah, I like it. No, I don't. And so we just test it, and there's no science. We don't have a team of researchers trying to figure out what's going to be best. We try it, and if it's awesome, we keep it going. If it sucks, then we trash it,
Craig, we call that bro science, sir. Okay.
Bro science.
Yeah, just like in jiu-jitsu, right? You have a
That's
move.
the
and
best
you try
science,
that
by the
move,
way. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. You're just trying it out.
and
You're like, does this actually work? Do this. Does this work? You know, and you're just
right.
kind of troubleshooting. It's the
Yep.
best way.
Yep.
I love it.
And that's
Yeah.
kind of how we roll. We're not. We're just kind of chasing and having fun, and you know, I'm sure it won't always be that way, but for now it is. It's a blast.
So
We'll
is that
grow
the
and
new
evolve.
hoodie that you're wearing right now?
Yeah, that's the
Looks
new
sick.
stretch hoodie. So super stretchy, technical, quarter zip, and a little hood. So I'm pretty sure I put it in there for you, but man, I couldn't remember what I threw in there. But if not, I'll get you one out quickly.
I appreciate that. No, and you know what? The one thing that I absolutely love, like back in the day that I used to wear suits to work, I was always a spread collar guy. Like
Yep.
anytime I bought a dress shirt, it had to be spread collar with I forgot the name of the tie that you would put on, how you would tie the knot. I forgot.
Like
The Windsor.
double Windsor. Yeah.
Like a Windsor, right?
Yeah.
And that's the way I dressed. And when I saw that you guys had spread collars, I'm like, oh my God, I have to get one. This is great. Cause the collar on that one stays. Cause I'm a big collar guy. I've told you, I like those the thick collars, the really I guess how would you explain it? Like
they're almost like kind of like a stay collars or what have you.
Stay collar,
like,
right.
Yep.
Firm, like a firm collar that sticks, because I wear, you know, I like my shirt, you know, kind of buttoned up to not the top button, but the next button down. But I like the collar that stays, that doesn't get flat.
Yep.
And that collar on that spread collar shirt stays beautifully. It's that shirt. I actually have to order a couple more. That's one of my favorite looks.
We'll send them out. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was one of my main things that we started with was the collar. I said, I don't want bacon collar. I don't want you wash it twice and it's curling and you got to press it and you got to try to keep it. And so that was my number one thing that we started with the shirt was like, make sure that the collar stays in. It's a little bit extra, you know, cost, but they stay perfect. But
that's what matters to golfers.
It does.
That's what matters. You know, there are companies I think that made their money just because of the collar alone. You know what I mean? That basically stake their claims. You know,
that's it. Yeah.
For me, the cut is like very important. You know, I'm like a 5'9", like 185, 190 type of guy, and you know, so like kind of like, you know, just like a real athletic build, I guess. But so like cut is just very hard for me to find. Like, you know, Joe's probably like a FootJoy medium, and like that's like what on paper what I'd supposed to wear, you know. But obviously, it's like FootJoy medium is very, you know, the cuts are just so crazy. Yeah.
Well, that company, they you know, I always think of Happy Gilmore.
Companies, by the way.
No, it's all right. It's fine. That company, I always think of like Happy Gilmore, where he's like, yeah, you know, I want you to be a golfer. And he's like, well, my neighbor's got a big ass. He'd make a good golfer. It's like they design. That's the problem. Like guys like us who are, you know, thin and athletic cut, it's hard for us to find a shirt like where it's like, hey, it fits me well up here, but then I'm swimming in the rest of it. You know, like that's an important thing for me is athletic cut that you know I fit on the top well, but then I can wear top untucked because I'm a muni player.
You're an untucker shirter.
Oh, I'm an untucker shirter for sure.
Yeah.
I like to play with my shirt.
I'm a tucker inner for sure.
No.
Yeah,
I'm old school.
It's funny because we're running some all of our solids and kind of we'll call them like our kind of like casual shirts. We're going to shorten up 2 inches. We just did a run for one of our clients, and I love the way they turned out. He wanted them a little bit shorter, and so you can still tuck it in, but when you wear it out, it's a perfect length. So we decided for our solids and kind of our technical fabrics that we're going to do that. We can't call it the because that's trademarked or copyrighted.
Trademark,
But yeah, we're just going to have it kind of like that loose fit. And
Is something
so then you can
trademarked
wear those.
where they have a term that describes both, that you can do both, where it's like it's versatile, because that would really kill. It's like untucked, tucked, whatever. This is the untucked, tucked cut.
And see, I got
You know?
the Tucker last name, so we'll call it like Tuckered or something.
Holy shit! Oh my God, the singularity is happening. Oh wow, this might be the line that really. Oh, that does it. Holy
That's
Trademark.
Yeah, right.
No,
So
that's
awesome.
the boiling point.
Yeah, and you're right. You have, but it's funny because the cut that they have, there's so many. Like, go out on the golf course and just look at who's out there, and about 70% of the people that are out there are those people. So it's that demographic, right? And so like what we do with our cuts is, when we did our first run, it was super fitted and technical, and we had a lot of people going, dude, I feel like I'm a sausage casing here. You can't do this to me.
Yeah.
You cut, you just tear it, and it just like boom, explodes. Just like yoga pants, right? Like it's like a net on a roast. You cut the net and it just falls out.
It's so like Under Armour shirt.
Yeah, exactly. So we went a little bit bigger, but not quite to the foot jar. I would say we're kind of trying to be in the middle there, where you can still pull it off if you want to rock the guns and show a little abs. You just kind of size down on it. But if you want like something that, you can eat a steak and have a couple beers and still look good in the shirt, that's kind of where we're going with it, kind of appealing to the masses.
And that's a smart, I think that's a smart strategy. Any plans to release pants or shorts?
So shorts. We just did our first sample of our short. It like blew me away. Super stoked on it. One small thing was is a little thin on the fabric, so we don't want the whole Lululemon thing where your butt cheeks are showing through. So we went up. Yeah, we went up a couple grams on the weight of the material, actually like 10 or 15 grams on the weight of the material, but it's a 4-way stretch short with an elastic band as well inside the short. So it actually feels like a gym short, but it's so comfortable. I could not believe, I played a few rounds in them and I was like, this will be a lifestyle short. This will be, you wear it on the golf course, but you also wear it out to dinner or wear it to an event, that'll let you wear shorts. But but we're gonna stick with like 3 sizes: small, medium, large, extra large. Try to stay with like 3 colors in the beginning. You start to get so many SKUs, and and then you run out of mediums, and now you got to order another 180 of them because you are out of mediums. And so we're gonna introduce them. But that's one that's I will say we'll have a production run of those probably within the next 60 days.
And I got to say something, Craig, that this is one thing that impressed the crap out of me about your product is, so this week I wore that the blue, it's kind of like the blue speckle polo.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And then I brought my spread collar, the Sage spread collar. Your product travels incredibly. Like, I'm talking jammed in a suitcase, where I'm wearing it the whole day, through meetings, and then you're taking off your hoodie or your Q-zip to to play golf or whatever, or go out to dinner. Everything is like, there's very little ironing, very little maintenance, especially when it's jammed in a suitcase. So I got to give you props for that.
Thank you.
It travels very, very well. That's another thing that, a lot of us business guys who do play a lot of golf for work, that's an important aspect. I've got some high-end stuff that my companies have paid for, when you're buying stuff for customers, you throw in a little something for yourself. I have a $180 Q-zip that I would never spend that kind of money on that Q-zip. And every time I've got to press it before I leave. I've got to steam it 12 times before I put it on. And literally, if I move or get into a car, it's wrinkled. And this is a high end. I'm not going to say the name of the manufacturer, but it's a high end Q-zip that I thought was going to wear well. And it's seriously the crappiest material I've ever had, where it's like, I want to wear it because it's nice. And then I'm like, because the golf course that I bought it at, like, but then I'm like, yeah, now I'll wear that, when I play with my friends or whatever,
You have to kind of hang it in the car while you're driving there. Don't put a seatbelt across it and then get out and put it on.
Yeah. And then like, you get to a hotel and you've got to take it out, put it on a hanger, put it in the shower with you and steam it out. And then I've got to take it out. I got to press it and then steam it again with my little portable steamer. Your product travels incredibly. And I'm talking those two polos I jammed in my suitcase, literally threw it together, jammed it. It was sitting in the back of my car for 6 hours driving. And then I didn't steam it till the next day. And it was just like a couple little spots and that's it. And it kept that pressing the entire day. So well done. Well done. And the other thing I got to mention is your hats are dope. They are, because I like flat brim hats, but not these kind of flat brims. And I like a flat brim hat with a high crown. I really like a high structured crown. They're incredible. Anytime I'm out, on Saturday, I'll be fitting for Callaway on in a country club in Jersey. I'll be wearing one of these hats while I'm fitting.
That's awesome. So, thank you. So I got to get you some more product, man. I've been terrible about that. I'm sorry.
Dude, come on, stop it. Listen, you
appreciate the support.
Listen, I appreciate your support. You know me. I'm going to put it in videos. I'm going to put it in videos when John and I finally play, and maybe John and I will roll in shorts and a polo.
Hey, you could roll in those new shorts. You could absolutely roll in those. I promise you.
Okay,
that's an idea.
Yeah,
that's an idea.
I'll fight somebody on my golf course in them too. No, just kidding.
Yeah. See, that's what we'll do. We'll go out and take John with us, and we'll talk shit to everybody, and he can take them down if we.
No,
we'll be all right. Yeah, but we're playing through, guys. Relax.
Listen, you got it. John's got the alert. He's got the cauliflower ears. Whenever I see dudes walking around with cauliflower, he's like, "Yeah, I'm not messing with that dude.
We're good. We're good."
Yeah, not gonna happen.
I wanted to maybe get some Botox in mind just to kind of, but I'm afraid somebody will call me out and then I won't know what to do.
I've worked.
Hold on, Craig. You got cauliflower ears too?
No, I was thinking about getting some Botox just to blow them out.
Just so they have them. I was like, because you're a Cali bro, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, wow, if you were a wrestler in California, that means you're a badass. California's actually got very good wrestling, but it's the size of the East Coast, so it's obviously they've got good wrestling. There's so many people there, but really good wrestling.
My daughter is in jiu-jitsu. In fact, she just got home. She does it twice a week, and she is she's hooked. My son did it as well, and then he wrestled all through high school. So I have a huge respect for you guys because it is absolutely gnarly. And I have two super bad shoulders. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I would love to do it, but they'd be popping me out every
No, you
day.
can do it. It's John and I have been talking about this. One of the reasons why I'm super excited to get down and train at his gym down in Maryland, because the important thing is that you got to remember something. I'm not a competitor. I don't compete. You know what I mean? I don't compete in golf. I do this because I love it and the mental health aspect of it. I mean, you have a stressful day, you go on the mats, any of the stress that you have that work brings you or whatever, family issues, whatever it is, you're not thinking about it for those 2 hours and you're releasing that energy. Right. And it's a matter of finding a gym where you have a lot of like-minded individuals, where you have guys that are your age, guys that are my age, that
with shoulder issues, with neck issues, they got discs replacing their neck, but they still want to learn a Kimura, an arm bar, and they want to drill, and they want to flow roll, and they want to get a sweat going, and they want to learn next to the guys that are also competing. But this is not a competition class necessarily, or this is not the sparring part of the competition. And when sparring does happen, after you do 30 minutes of technique, you're actually learning and drilling, going back and forth. You're like, you get to choose exactly who you want to. Hey, Jim, come over. You want to take it easy, and you find your little partners, and you can create your own little like atmosphere and subculture within the gym. It's exactly like golf. It's just kind of different. It teaches like same principles, like how you're applying golf to teach these kids like the values of life. I teach my fighters like I just use golf as an analogy. Like, look, everybody's doing the stuff that your guys are doing. Like, I know it seems so hard because you're actually, your bad days, like you're actually getting the shit beat out of you. That sucks, and you're basically getting no money when you're on the come up,
Yeah.
It's like you're a starving artist, entrepreneur. Every single like Disney movie type of cliche quote you can assign to a fighter. It's like they're at the bottom of the barrel. It's like an adult star, entertainment star, and then like pro MMA fighter, like right there, and then all the other professional stuff. It's like that's how big of a gap and how crazy it is when you're just starting out. So, I really try to use golf as a way to like mechanism to really let these guys know they're like doing something. Just it's not as crazy as they think. It's like more regal. It's like it just gives them like, they think it helps them think like I just want them to think of themselves as like more gentlemanly, I guess you could say. Not like savages.
So in other words,
thinking man's game.
So yeah, exactly. That's a great point that, like how the two golf and jiu-jitsu relate to each other. Like you're on the golf course, you're playing against a golf course. I have an opponent in front of me. I'm basically playing against him, and it's a chess match, right? It's like how many moves am I gonna have to do because I want to get to this end goal of say a triangle, right? I might have to try 6 different submissions to get this person to get, be where I need him to be to submit him. It's the same thing with golf. It's like, all right, am I going to hit a driver and go for it? Or am I going to play it smart and hit a 3-wood? And, I might be 40 yards back, but I have a better chance at a GUR. You know what I mean? Or green regulation, it's the same thing. And then with finding a school, it's a matter of finding a place that you're comfortable and that your partners aren't out to rip your arms and legs and head off. They're there for the same reason why you're there, and just to get a roll and be careful with you. Like if I rolled with you, I can guarantee you there's more of a chance that you'll hurt me than me hurt you.
Okay. Thoughts?
I'm the safest person you could go with for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm the most dangerous and the most safest, but
right.
You're in like the best hands going with the most with the most expert, capable person, because they're just gonna like there's absolutely nothing there. There's no shred of ego, and there's no shred of like, let me try this out. Like these young guys sometimes are just like, well, let me just step on the pedal right here. They're driving a Ferrari, just like, let me just
and that's
like,
where
what are you doing, man? He just threw me on my head. He's like, I didn't know I could foot sweep you like that. I'm sorry. Jeez,
or that's when your elbow gets hyperextended and you're tearing freaking ligaments and stuff. Yeah.
He's like, wow, I didn't know I could do that. Jeez.
Yeah.
But yeah, if do it, man, I'm telling you, you'll thank me later.
Okay. Yeah.
And you'll be
He's like us, dude. He's like us. He's like, I got 0 time for like another hobby right now, dude.
No, but you know what it'll do for your golf game?
I could barely make this damn thing.
Yeah.
You know what it'll do for your golf game? Your back will be loose, your shoulders will be loose. Like believe it or not,
it's yoga for you. Yeah.
Murder yoga.
When I watch everyone do it, I'm just like, they're rolling and they're doing all this stuff and they're bending in ways that I'm like, I think
you don't have to do that style though. I'll give you a whole style that'll work for you. You just smash it, okay. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
But we'll link up when I come out to the West Coast. My brother lives in California, but I think a little bit north.
Oh, let's do it.
Sacramento. Yeah, but for sure. Contrast for life, for sure. I love this has been a good combo, Greg, for sure.
Yeah.
So Craig,
it's been great.
Before we let you go, right? I want to get your opinion on Wesley Bryant getting suspended from the PGA Tour, while Grant Horvat gets an invite to a PGA event after both of them played that Live Duel competition. Because I already know where you stand with Live. We've had the discussions, so you and I are both pro Live and let it live and whatever. John is too. Like we're all about Live. All about. I'm also all about bringing the two leagues back together. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, so I don't have a ton of the backstory on it, but it just, for me, it's like I want the band back together, or at least the ability for them to play again together, right? Like you guys watch the Masters.
Of course.
John may or may not have.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, cool. I figured you were out.
I'm a big golf guy.
Dudes.
Yeah. No. I love golf. I was playing golf. I was in a golf trip that weekend, actually.
That's awesome.
So golf and hanging out with the bros and watching golf all weekend. It was sick.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. So like getting all of the guys together again, getting Bryson out there, getting all the best players in the world. That's kind of ideal, like, having them the ability to play together, but suspending him for doing something that other people already do, I don't know what the precedence is there. I don't know if there's is there some backstory or is there some history with him?
He's been on the PGA Tour. I'm not sure. Listen, I'm not a big stats guy. I know he's had quite a few top 10 finishes in recent years, right? He's a great golfer. I think he might have won a tournament, like maybe last year. I think he won. He's got the Bryan Brothers YouTube channel, which is huge. Which, me personally, I'm kind of one of those guys. I enjoy watching YouTube golf more than I do watching the PGA Tour. Like
I love it too.
I'm a big fan of, Bob Does Sports. Grant Horvat is one of my favorites to watch him when he plays against PGA and Live guys.
Yeah.
Who else is there? Micah Morris, like these, or Good, right? All these guys, they built their careers, including the Bryan brothers. I'm sure Wesley and George Bryan do really well on their YouTube channel because number one, they're amazing golfers, and number two, their content is fire. And they do this all the time. They did this Live Duels thing. It was broadcast on YouTube. It's not like it was broadcast on a major network. It was George Bryant and Wesley Bryant teaming up with a pro. I think Wesley was with DJ and they had a couple of other guys there and Bob Does Sports was commentating. Him and Joey were commentating. It was just a YouTube thing. That was honestly more enjoyable to watch than 99% of the PGA Tour events that you see as of late, right?
Yeah. It's just so good to see them in their natural habitat, right?
Right. And that's the point. That's it. It's like, the one thing that I love about Live, they've got more mics on the people, on the players, like, what Bryson has done for himself. I've always been a Bryson fan. And I know people that say, I love Bryson. Oh, he's a weirdo and this and that. No, he's a scientist. You know what I mean? He's thinking about the shot. There's a method to his madness. But what he's done for to revolutionize like that whole segment of the population and his viewership is tremendous. Now he's respected. Now he's loved, right?
Yeah.
But he's been doing the same thing for years. And for Wesley Bryan, who's had the Bryan Brothers YouTube channel for years, who they've been very successful, for them to do this event and then the PGA Tour say, no, you're not allowed to do that, but in one breath, and then the next breath is like, oh, we're really close to finalizing the deal between Live and the PGA Tour,
right? And
then the hypocrisy.
What did it come down to? What's in his actual contract with them?
No, you have a PGA Tour card. That's your contract. The PGA Tour wants to own you. That's basically what it says. But the PGA can do whatever they want.
But did they sign? Like, is there a contract between them? Do you know that for sure? Like when the players get the tour card, do they sign in and do they sign their likeness away to not be able to do that? If it's written in the contract and he signed it and he breached the contract, and he's getting suspended for breaching the contract, I don't agree with that. I think it's petty for the PGA Tour to enforce that. I think if you're going to be competing, like if you're good enough to like get into the PGA Tour, you have to do your due diligence and get like somebody to read your contracts for you.
Yeah, but so that he's been on the PGA Tour for years before Live.
I understand, but like, did he like then? Are they just able to enforce this at will? and he didn't like. I
Well,
mean,
they could do whatever they want.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of asking, like, is there a backstory there, right? Or like, is there something that, but it sounds like, yeah, you never know what's going on behind the scenes. And if they're trying to negotiate this deal and now they're like, hey, suspend this guy because he's doing it. Let's try to push them apart again so that we can bring them to the kind of like the Trump effect, right? Like the art of the deal. Maybe they're doing something with that. Who knows?
I don't know. But
you never know.
Craig, we appreciate you coming on the podcast. Thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Man.
I don't want to take up more of too much of your evening, but anything that you would like to promote.
No, you know what? Yeah, just again, it's just a fun little brand that we're building and having a good time. It's called Contrast. It's spelled actually the way it's supposed to be spelled, which is CONTRASTUSA.com, our website. Again, I built the website too, so I'm chief of engineering on the website. So built it through Shopify.
CTO.
Every shirt that goes out, I've had my hands on it. I've touched it. I am part of that business, and I appreciate the grind and everything getting us to a level. I'm all about it. Anytime I'm packing boxes out or doing stuff or at events, loading the trailer, I look at it and I'm just excited about it because this is all part of the journey, and but we can't do it without guys like you guys supporting us and becoming a part of the family. And I appreciate everything you've done for us, man. You've been great. And we've had some awesome conversations offline. And, and John, it's a pleasure to meet you and look forward to learning a little bit more about you as well. And we'll have to get you some gear over as well.
Yeah, we're going to link up and we're going to follow each other on Instagram.
And and Craig, what's the IG for Contrast?
Same thing, Contrast USA. So at Contrast USA, spelled correctly, not with our no vowels that we spelled up. I wanted to confuse everybody, so even myself.
Hey now. Yeah. All right, Craig. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us for episode 6 of the Golf Jitsu podcast. We out.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.